A couple of days ago, Firefly Studios live streamed coverage of their upcoming mobile apps for Stronghold Kingdoms, and I thought I would give you a brief rundown of what was covered and what we know up to this date. Now, every bit of information here that I have gleaned is actually from the live stream, so if you want to verify any of my claims, go ahead and watch it for yourself. But I made a list here of what I consider to be important developments for the game. And to get started, now the Stronghold Kingdoms mobile app was originally cited as likely to launch in 2016, but that is looking less likely. Currently, it is set for a closed beta in 2016, but it looks like it might be as late as early 2017 before the game sees a worldwide mobile launch. And it is once again following Firefly's mantra of being ready when it's ready. So if they encounter some sort of problem in the interim, it could be delayed even further. But that said, there are some promising developments being made so far. During the live stream, both Nick and Pascal demonstrated the game on an iPad and a Android phone. So we know that the game does work on both Android and iOS, and it will work on both phones and tablets. So that is some important confirmations there, because I was kind of wondering if it would be possible to play the game on a phone due to the much smaller size of the screen and how much space the interface generally takes up on strategy games such as this. In addition to that, it was mentioned, somebody asked in the or during the live stream whether or not there would be a Windows phone version, and at the moment there is nothing in development, and it's unlikely that one would be developed unless there was a unexpectedly large launch of the game. Following the Android and iOS launches of the game, if the response was big enough, they said they might consider a Windows Phone version. So if you're on Windows Phone, you're probably not getting it. The UI will be different, as anybody who has pretty much seen the previews of it, there will no longer be the rigid edges of it. How would you put that? Currently, the UI is very outdated. In the PC version of the game, I would consider it a very outdated UI style, something that we saw back as early as 2001 with the release of the original Stronghold. So it's nice to see the UI being updated to something a little bit more flexible, a little bit more modern, that can easily scale to different size screens, hopefully, because when you are developing applications for Android, you have a myriad of devices that have to be considered whether or not you would be able to run on those devices, because there is really no standard for performance or screen size on any Android device. So that brings us pretty much to the launch of the application, the mobile application for Stronghold Kingdoms, and currently there is a planned closed beta. They're thinking about maybe a couple hundred players. I'm unsure at the moment how they will be selected, although I think it is pretty safe to say that they would try to have players of both very experienced and less experienced, as generally how closed betas work. And based on the feedback they get from the players in the closed beta, it will take a couple of months to possibly implement the improvements, the suggestions they make, if it's big enough. Otherwise, I don't know. It could just be little to nothing that is needed, that needs to be improved. And in which case, the global launch would probably be much sooner. After the closed beta and after the improvements that the beta testers have suggested have been made, then Firefly intends on doing maybe a couple of weeks of a soft launch in certain countries. It is unclear at the moment which countries would be up for the soft launch. And then after a very short soft launch, the mobile versions of the game will likely be launched worldwide. And players who have registered or have pre-registered for the mobile applications, either the iOS or the Android version of it, will be notified via email once the application goes worldwide for their respective platform. And anybody who pre-registers does get a free Kingmaker pack for Stronghold Kingdoms. So if you do plan on playing the mobile version of Stronghold Kingdoms, make sure to go ahead and pre-register for it so you get all the free stuff that you can get. I think that's pretty much everything that was revealed, and there is word there might be another stream after Gamescom is finished with more actual gameplay footage of at least the iOS app and possibly the Android one as well, because it was mentioned during this Gamescom live stream that this was the first time they'd actually demonstrated the Android version live. So hopefully we'll see more of that. that. It is just about as well developed as the iOS version, but the launches might be a little bit off between the two of them, and that's not intentional. They're trying to launch them at the same time, which is probably one of the reasons for the delays in the past year, because if you recall correctly, when it was initially announced that Firefly was working on a mobile app for Stronghold Kingdoms, is that it would only be coming to iOS devices, and Android users were pretty much left out in the cold after a overwhelming response from Android users that there was definitely interest in a mobile application for Stronghold Kingdoms for their devices. Firefly sort of changed the plan and they started working on the Android version, which I think extended the development time for the entire project. But that is pretty much where we are at the moment with Stronghold Kingdoms. If you have any additional questions, just ask them and perhaps I can get them answered. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.